Namaskar and welcome. You're watching NewsX with me, Devika Chopra. The Indian Navy is set to procure 26 Rafale marine fighter jets and 3 additional Scorpion submarines worth 1 lakh crores. The deal is expected to be finalized by January 2025. According to Navy Chief Admiral Dinesh Tripathi, this acquisition will boost India's naval capabilities, particularly its air, and subsurface fleet. Admiral Tripathi also addressed growing concerns over Pakistan's naval ambitions, which have been significantly strengthened by Chinese assistance. He also pointed out the imbalance in Pakistan's priorities, stating that they have always chosen weapons over the welfare of their people. But what does this procurement by India really mean in the current geopolitical scenario? We take that conversation forward. I have with me Wing Commander Sudhakaran. We also have with us on the broadcast Captain Shyam Kumar, and we have Group Captain UK Devnath and Major Rajan Kochhar with us on the broadcast. Let me begin this conversation, if I can, with Captain Shyam Kumar. Captain Shyam Kumar, if you could, just for the benefit of our viewers, explain what the next set of procurements of the Rafale jets for the Navy really means.
Thank you, Devika. Navy Day is coming up tomorrow. My greetings to all the naval people and the citizens of the country. Navy is growing into the blue water Navy, and we are looking at distant operations. And therefore, with the present scenario of 130 ships, maybe 150 aircraft and 130 hello, we are looking forward to add our strength into the fleet in submarines, underwater, surface Navy capabilities, as well as the aviation capabilities. And in that sense, the induction of Rafale, which is a government-to-government deal and on a high track and a fast mode track, it is likely to say 22 of the single-seater fighter aircrafts for marine aircraft operations from the aircraft carriers, and 4 trainers, that is twin-seaters, for the Navy is very, very important. I, being a carrier-born pilot, have been on Virat Vikrant and inducted Vikramaditya into Indian Navy. So I understand the aviation elements is with the teeth and the eyes and ears of the fleet. And therefore, Rafales are going to definitely add to the sea control capability of India into Indian Ocean and Indian Oceanic region, in fact. So therefore, the induction is very important. At the same time, we look at the submarines, Scorpion, 3 more Scorpions, which are likely to come from France at a very high cost again, but they are indigenously made at Mazgaon dock. See, INS Bagshir, which was the last submarine of six of them of Kalveri class, which was made at Mazgaon dock. 22 onwards, the dockyard was lying little idle about it. So the experience gained in the submarine construction will be renewed, and we will have 3 more joining in 63,000 crore rupees of contract almost. And then coming to the surface ships acquisitions, we have 63 ships under order in various Indian dockyards presently, and I think about 2 of them are from Russia. That is the Talwar class destroyers, which are to Shil, already coming to India. We have some more constructions, and I think by next 10 years we will be almost 150 to 160 ships plus in the capacity of surface operations, and similarly added to the submarine and the aviation elements. There are 2 more SSN, that is SSN is nuclear powered attack submarines, which nuclear power engines that are coming up with Cabinet. CCS has just approved them, 2 of them. It is a very high quality deal, but lead time is very high. It may take about 10 to 12 years for the first SSN to join our fleet. And the INS Arigat has been inducted into the Navy. The second strike capability, the 3rd leg, sea leg, and recently fired K4 missile, which we have heard from DRDO's and Navy's contribution, operationally fired by INS Arigat, has further added to the subsurface ballistic missile launch capability. And now we are not restricted into Arabian Sea, or we don't have to go to the South China Sea to see our adversaries' depth of geographical depth. We can have our own flexibility, surprise, and we can have a deterrent patrol to really make the region more stable, regional security increased, and our teeth might and our credibility in Indian Ocean and beyond is going to increase. Over to you, Devi.
Okay, all right. I want to bring in on that note, we are with us on the broadcast, Major General Rajan Kochar as well. Major General Rajan Kochar, I want to understand from your perspective now, this news really is coming in time because just towards the end of October, we learned that China's Navy for the first time had conducted dual aircraft carrier operations in the South China Sea. Then it was also learned that China's modernized J-15B single-seat multi-role fighter and the J-15D two-seat electronic warfare jet, both of those have reportedly become operational as well. Given these developments, how crucial is it for India, the procurement of the naval variant of the Rafale combat jets?
Thank you, Devika. Can you hear me, please?
Yes, I'm also going to request you to rotate your screen.
1 minute.
Perfect. Please go ahead.
Okay. Now, a very interesting question you have actually posed here because we may be aspiring to become a blue water navy, but are we a blue water navy? Is the question I would like to ask our defense thinkers. And secondly is that if we try to compare with China, I think we have a long way to go. But notwithstanding that, the present acquisition of 26 Rafale aircraft for an approximate cost of 50,000 crores and also the Scorpion deal also coming through, this is going to be a very, very major step as far as the surveillance, reconnaissance, and intelligence capability of the naval forces concerned. You would be aware that we have a maritime boundary of approximately 7,500 square kilometers. And if we have to project ourselves, if we have to project our maritime power right across the Indian Ocean, because we must remember that India is very strategically placed with the Andaman and Nicobar commands is far forward deployed, and we'll be able to react faster in case of any Chinese movement which can be seen from the PLA Navy. So for that, I am a strong believer that we need to enhance our numbers of aircraft carriers. We have already two. Second one is going for a refit. The third aircraft carrier, we are right now thinking about it, but we don't have it right now. And at the same time, nuclear submarines. INS Arihant is an option we have right now, but we have only two of the nuclear submarines in our arsenal today. There is a requirement, if we have to match the submarine power of the PLA Navy, there is a requirement to enhance our strength of nuclear submarine. And why nuclear submarine I want to bring out, and why not conventional? Because if we have to become a blue water navy, as Captain Sham is actually mentioning, then we need to have a greater staying power in the Indian Ocean and far beyond. And in case we want to have a greater staying power, I think time has come. Even our aircraft carriers have to be nuclear powered. China is in the process of manufacturing one aircraft carrier which is going to be nuclear powered. America already has 11. So we also need to get into this sphere of our capability, getting in a nuclear powered aircraft carrier and a nuclear powered submarine, at least 12. Because unless we have this capability, unfortunately, we will not be able to project our power beyond our shores and challenge the PLA Navy. Devika.
Okay, I want to bring our next guest into the conversation there as well. Let me bring in Wing Commander Sudhakaran. Wing Commander Sudhakaran, interesting points have also been raised by Admiral Tripathi recently, where he said that our reading, India's reading of the entire situation vis-a-vis China is that China, its Air Force and specifically its Navy will be manifesting more in the Pacific Ocean. But of course, we are continuing to keep an eye to ensure and to watch out that our interests in the Indian Ocean region are not affected. How much would you agree with that reading, and how crucial then is it for India to continue with the procurement of the naval variant of the Rafale jets?
While it is very important for us to enhance our inventory with the latest modern weapons that are available, there is a concern here because why we are forced to buy today is the flawed policy that the erstwhile regimes followed for a good 2 to 3 decades, which has today made us vulnerable. But while we don't have an option but to procure the likes of Rafales and the Scorpions from the West, there is a challenge because today warfare is at the cusp of a transformational change. This is something that I have reiterated. China, US are the two powers which are already in a covert warfare as far as intelligenceization of their warfare machinery is concerned. Our machinery is still archaic. Our, in fact, understanding of this, transformation is pathetically poor. Let me put it that way. Because the moment you are going to have intelligence-embedded weapon systems, you are now entering into a territory where these weapon systems will have intent of their own. We are still stuck on these zero-day vectors which attacked the Hezbollah, which was a unorganized terrorist kind of a regime. We have to now look at what kind of a transformation technologies like AI will bring in. AI is not only going to get into your information banks, but it is also capable of designing new kinds of weapon systems. The latest weapon that Russia has unleashed on Ukraine, which the West is now scared of, in fact, they're trying to dismiss no such weapons exist. The oceanic class of weapons, the hypersonic weapons, which can actually give you multiple, warheads that can re-enter into any target areas. There is a transformational change in the battlefield. Now, if we continue to believe that warships are going to protect you, probably, I'm sorry, in next 5 decades, probably next 5 years, probably you may see these getting obsolete. Yes, I need a platform in the sea, but these are sitting ducks in a regime wherein we are talking about swarms of small miniature systems can go and attack and pull them down. The tactical nukes, which, the miniaturization of the tactical nukes, plus aided with the capability that these small footprint swarms can carry on their back end, actually brings in a new dimension of sorts. The problem with this weaponry is you cannot buy it. You cannot buy it and use it because it carries what is called as an intent vector. And this is something that even, the most capable of cybersecurity communities don't understand because we have still not bothered to look into all these things. And this is where warfare will transform itself. In fact, China is already built around 50,000 odd mules which are equipped with a sniper, which means a humanoid or a robotic framework with that kind of a sniper coming onto the border means one bullet, one life. They're talking about concepts like combat at zero human loss. They're trying to bring cognition at scale. And if this is what we are looking at, I think we are at least talking 2 decades backwards. Because if probably when I was in my college, just about graduating on the post-Kargil war or, conflicts of that time, these things made more sense. Today, while we need to look into the rearview mirror, we will need to look forward at least a decade ahead and look at why Make in India today should become the central theme for defense, because gone are the days wherein you can rely on foreign weaponry for defending your country. Because I just was sharing this thought a couple of months back you will reach a situation wherein your aircrafts could very well, by itself create a denial of service attack, which could be it could be a degraded performance of aircraft in the air, which you wouldn't even understand why it happened. Now, these are the kind of threats that we need to be wary about. I see very less discourse in the defense community, let alone be in the civil community on all these things. But high time we start talking about all these things. We cannot be procuring weapons because we've already entered the superpower league. We are going to be the top 3 power in the world, and top 3 means, see what is being done to Russia today. The entire campaign towards Russia is go and sit into their borders, eat into them and then subvert the country. China is surviving purely because of its communism, because it has fortified its complete thing. There is no multinational corporate which, operates there, no psyops that happens there. India is very, very vulnerable as far as that is concerned. Add to that the lack of indigenization of mission critical and strategic technologies. We are in a tinderbox of sorts. We need to wake up. We need to actually look at, see how we can engage our demography, which is our biggest, asset, create dividends out of it. And then we will have to ensure that our factories churn out technologies which we can use of our own. Make in India is okay, but let's start thinking in India.
Okay, all right. Group Captain UK Devnath, bringing you into the conversation. You've heard what Mr. Thakran has had to say on the matter, but the Navy has also announced that 62 warships and a diesel-electric submarine are currently under construction at various Indian shipyards. They've said that the government has approved another project to build a nuclear power submarine as well, and that 31 more powerful warships and submarines, including 6 submarines of Project 75 India, have also been accepted. That yes, these are now in the pipeline. But at the same time, our Navy Chief also announced that there are several Pakistani warships and submarines which are currently being built in China, which clearly shows that China is interested not just in bolstering its own navy, but also making the Pakistani navy much stronger. Do you feel India is then working at the correct pace?
Yes, Devika, my enemy's enemy is my friend. So China thinks that India is its competitor in Indian Ocean region. And China thinks that it can balance, rather counterbalance India by making a strong Pakistan Navy. To some extent, this line of thought, Chinese way of thinking is correct. As far as Pakistan Navy is concerned, they are vigorously trying to build up their Navy to 50 plus surface and subsurface assets. In comparison, Indian Navy is going to be 150 at present and soon, within a decade, growing to 200 plus surface and subsurface components. What Chinese Navy can deploy in Indian Ocean region is the crux of the discussion. See, Chinese Navy is presently about 250 ships and submarines, 3 aircraft carriers. But how much can they bring into Indian Ocean to challenge India? A Chinese Navy primarily is growing, looking at Guam, looking at US Navy, looking at control at South China Sea, probably Taiwan. Beyond this, Chinese Navy at any time maintains just about 10 surface and subsurface assets, submarines in Indian Ocean region. Even today, the IND report says that at present there are only 7 Chinese ships or submarines altogether between Strait of Malacca and Persian Gulf. So India has to prepare to meet Chinese Navy in Strait of Malacca. That is the choke point for PLA Navy. And how to face Chinese Navy at Strait of Malacca? It is by use of our air bases which are in Andaman and Nicobar. Yes, Indian Navy must deploy aircraft carriers in Bay of Bengal, in Arabian Sea. In Arabian Sea, the challenge is how Indian Navy is going to encircle or contain or limit the effectiveness of Pakistan Navy. primarily by encircling Karachi, by encircling, choking Gwadar. Indian Navy is capable of it. We have done that in 1971. Today is also our war plans are ready. Navy is ready. However, the limiting factor is, though we have 2 aircraft carriers, but very, very few MiG-29s to operate from them. That remains a real area of concern. These 26 Rafale, when they come, it will bolster Indian Navy's fighting capabilities to a great extent. And Devika, one more thing. See, Indian Air Force is also looking west into Arabian Sea and east into Bay of Bengal all the way up to Strait of Malacca. We are building up theater command. Yes, a peninsular theater command will be under Indian Navy. But we should not forget that Indian Air Force is now planning to dedicate 5 long-range fighter squadrons in peninsular region. They will be deployed on our western coast, eastern coast, and near tip of India, near Sri Lanka. Sulur is one of the air base which is being built up for this purpose specifically, from where Indian Air Force fighter aircraft will be able to carry out anti-shipping or anti-submarine role up to a range of 1,000 kilometers into Indian Ocean. So, Devika, we are a strong Navy, a strong Air Force, and we have nothing to, worry about the presence of Chinese PLA Navy's assets in Indian Ocean region. Yes, Devika?
Okay, I want to take the same question with Major General Rajan Kochhar. Major General Rajan Kochhar, do you agree then with the pace at which India is bolstering its Navy?
Devika, I would like to be a devil's advocate here. And I can tell you that the pace is extremely slow. The P-75I project I've been hearing for the last 20 years. How many warships have we produced? Mazikon dock and all these docks we have who are in the manufacturing process. And Commander Sudhakar also mentioned that it is a legacy. You cannot build the ships and all these submarines in a matter of days. It takes years, it takes decades, I would say that. So this program has to be a roll-on plan. It has to be carried forward and it has to be budgeted. See, today we can talk about Atmanirbhar Bharat, we can talk about Make in India, but we can only ensure that if we want to achieve anything, we must have the budget for it, we must have the allocation. This Defence Acquisition Procedure 2020 was the first step of the present government in streamlining the acquisition process in which the strategic partnerships came into being. Today, we are in agreement with General Electric to establish a base in India. We want to have the jet air engines also coming in. We are also in collaboration with Russia to establish Sukhoi engines to be manufactured in India. So this process, unfortunately, Devika, I would like to comment here is that we have been very, very slow. Our systems are not those advanced systems. Our infrastructure is not in place, and that is why we had a casualty of a warship being sunk in the dock itself. So we need to improve our systems, our own processes, and unless we are able to do that, we will not be able to go at the pace we would like to go in for, because the way Chinese manufacturing industry or its defense manufacturing industry ecosystem is gearing up there, it will be very, very difficult to catch up, because they are already 2 times the size of our Indian Navy. And when we talk about threat perception, I would like to bring out this aspect. We are not only going to get a threat from the PLA Navy, there will be the Pakistan Navy also we will have to contend for. And mind you, with the situation in Bangladesh also not to our liking. Don't be surprised if your Bay of Bengal also we get entangled there. So they are multi-fairest threats India is facing, and of course the economy is what we have, because in case we spend on defense, we'll have to neglect the other areas of the economy. So it is a tight walk for the government, but I'm sure that now the focus is there, and especially after the naval chief has brought forth these aspects, we are getting into a very cogent debate on your channel, and I think the government is also seized of this issue, and in the times to come, we are going to see much improvement than what is existing as of now.
Okay, all right. Captain Shyam Kumar, India is also in the process of developing its own twin-engine deck-based fighters. And it's expected that the first prototype will be making its maiden fly by 2026, and they could be ready for production by 2031. So there is, of course, the focus on Atmanirbhar defense continues, but same question to you. Do you feel that these timelines really match the pace at which perhaps the Chinese Navy is expanding, and how the Chinese are also assisting Pakistan's Navy to expand?
Yes, Deepika, see, Indian context, we have to look at our designs of our operations, in our area of interest. And we have to restrict our vision and our maritime perspective plans accordingly. And in that sense, we must understand that India is growing to the higher economy zone. We are getting into the aspects of economy infrastructure. So military is also gaining steadily. But yes, Chinese Navy is building up to become a superpower, and in contrast with the USA. So now their designs are different, our designs are different. Having said that, yes, our growth, especially for the Navy, being a technical service, the lead time, the funding, the plans are little complicated, and it takes a lot of time. And warship production and aircraft production, submarine productions are complex process, which needs a lot of time and effort. That's why we have been talking about 20 years, 15 years, and back, and even in future. Talking about the requirement of the aviation element, aircraft carrier, we have just seen, and we are looking for third aircraft carrier after Virat and Vikrant and the Vikramaditya. We are looking forward to the next, and may not be a nuclear one, but of the same design of 45,000, on which we are debating. Proposals are coming back, and now we have got some submarines. So there is a requirement to weigh the pros and cons of submarine operations versus aircraft operations, aircraft carrier operations. In that sense, we will definitely go for the third aircraft carrier. There is no doubt about it. And the next point is about the aviation element for aircraft carrier. It's very important to have a double engine aircraft. LCA being the single engine aircraft, Navy could not take it, although all the exercises, all the trials, and even the takeoff and landing from the ramp, etc. at Goa was carried out at INS Hansa. But the requirement is of a twin engine aircraft for safety reasons, endurance, and strike capability. Therefore, we went for the Rafale, which is important, and I'm sure it is going to operate quickly from both the carriers. Coming to the TVD, that is twin engine deck-based fighter, which is the requirement, fifth generation fighter. We definitely need indigenous production for these aircrafts so that we can operate at our own, with our own logistic support. Regarding the PLA Navy's expansion plan, we must understand man behind the machine matters. They have no war experience. They have no aircraft carrier. We have been operating these aircraft carriers from 1961. This is our fourth aircraft carrier, and we have been knowing about it well. We have fought with it. We have operated with it. We have a vast amount of experience in this sense. Therefore, operationally, even if one-to-one, we are going to take on much better than many other adversaries in our area of operations. So we need not to worry about them. At a steady, fast pace, Indian Navy is doing its job. Our dockyards and shipyards are doing a wonderful job. Production lines are very good. And now you can see 61, 62 ships in order means a lot for the country. And the port, harbors, infrastructure facilities, entire maritime perspective plan envisages all this together, not only the Indian Navy. Therefore, I definitely salute to all these elements who are dovetailing into the steady, fast growth of Indian Navy and making Indian Navy grow.
Okay, all right. I've run out of time, but I thank all of our guests for joining us on the broadcast to take this very important conversation forward. With that, viewers, we step into a very short break.